Caucus member, Congressman Andy Biggs. Congressman, very good to have you. This flies in the face, Congressman, what we're told, that all this other drama is getting in the way of getting any progress on the tax-cutting front. You argue quite the opposite.
Yeah, I think that's a red herring. Congress is very capable of multitasking. I've personally sat in on at least a half a dozen meetings with tax experts, economists, Ways and Means Chairman Kevin Brady. We're working on the tax package as we speak.
So, Congressman Biggs, I'm sure you caught that interview the president had with the economist, in which he said, "I'm okay with priming the pump here." He besides taking credit for that expression, priming the pump, what he did say is that he's okay with going into deficits initially to bring in the revenue down the road. Are you?
Yeah, I think it's a strange notion that we're going to have to be revenue neutral on any tax package, because what that means is we're going to give some people breaks and then we're going to take away other people's money through taxes. I think that we can generate enough economic growth to really cause all boats to rise here, and that's the old Laffer curve, that's the Laffer model, that's the Ronald Reagan model, and that's kind of where I buy in. And
it's kind of the JFK model in a way. But Congressman, the feeling I'm getting from listening to some of your counterparts in the Senate, and I know it's a different beast when it comes to even things like health care and even tax cuts, but there are quite a few of the moderates. I think as a body that the Senate is much more moderate. So they might insist, led by the likes of Rob Portman and some others, for revenue neutrality or budget neutrality, deficit neutrality, if you will, not to make them worse. So couldn't that kill whatever you're trying to do in the House?
Well, you know, when the bill gets to the Senate's going to do what it's going to do, and I'm not sure that should really be the motivating factor in everything we do in the House. I think that we should, in other words,
just keep plowing ahead doing what you're doing, and that whatever they do, and it goes back to conference. But let me ask you this. The type of big rate cuts that we have seen the administration espouse, let's say a top rate that goes down to 35%, still slicing it to 3 rates from the 7 that we have now. That's kind of your committee's thinking, and that's the House Republicans' thinking, right?
Well, I think that's consistent. I'm not sure that those are the exact numbers. I'd like to see a lower individual top rate.
Were you surprised the administration came out with that higher one? It was rumored to be 33, then it was 35.
I was a bit surprised. I was thinking somewhere between 28 and 32 would be the sweet spot.
What about deductions or limiting them, sir, on you know, state and sales taxes? Are you open to that or no?
Well, I think that yes, some of those need to go away. Some of the tax credits, perhaps, and some of the deductions. I mean, the ones mortgage and charitable deductions, there's no real will to do anything with those. Those are going to stay.
Even for the upper income?
Even in the upper income, as far as I can tell. Yeah.
Okay. Now, what about any retroactive cuts here? That if, let's assume, and I'm sure that's your goal, Congressman, to get these done certainly by the end of the year. Is it your wish to make them retroactive, or if it's so late in the year that would simply be unlikely?
Well, my druthers would be that we made them retroactive to January 1st of this year. That's really what I would like to see. But, you know, I'm one of 435, but there's a lot of I think sentiment that agrees with what I'm talking about and that's why we want to get this thing done as quickly as possible to provide some certainty. And retroactivity would be a great boost, I think, to the economy as well.
If this somehow shifts into next year, Congressman, are you worried they might not happen at all?
That's what makes me nervous. I do get nervous that people tend to go wobbly in an election year, and so I think we need to press forward. And that's why, even though we were doing the health care stuff, and that still lingers out there. We continue to work. I know the Freedom Caucus is the hardest working group in Congress, in my opinion, but we continue to work on tax reform, trying to get our ideas out there, develop them, and work with experts and make sure they work. So I'm hopeful. I'm still hopeful.
All right. Congressman Biggs, very good having you, sir. Thank you.